I'm never depressed. I was so depressed when I got chased out of my house and I had no money in my background. I lived in this place of depression, and I remember reading this book by Claudine Bristol. It's called The Magic of Believing. And I read the book, and it talked about how to condition your mind. And one of the things I did, I wrote on soap on the mirror, I wrote, only a loser is depressed, which isn't true. You can be a winner and be depressed and feel that way. But I knew I wasn't a loser. That was my leverage.
Yeah.
And I literally took the word depression out of my vocabulary. I've never used it again. I felt down. I felt pissed off. I felt frustrated. I felt sad. I felt overwhelmed in moments. But I've never felt depressed. Because when I was depressed, I got to the point where I was questioning whether it's worth it all. You know what I mean? And so your words shape your psychology. And so a few word changes, as stupid as that sounds, as overly simplistic as that sounds, or people give metaphors. They'll say, "Oh man, I'm like, I'm at the end of my rope," and I'll go, "Well, set it down and come over here." What are you talking about? We hypnotize ourselves, Or somebody will say, "Well, that person stabbed me in the back," and I'll walk up to him and I'll lean them behind their back. I say, "I don't see anything." And you know what I mean? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Well, they betrayed me. Well, what did they do? And you dig in, they go, they told someone else something they said they wouldn't tell them.
Right.
But the words escalated the emotion. And once they're there as a metaphor or as words, they control us. I invite every business person to notice this. I remember, I decided to get a divorce when I was 39 years old. And I didn't want to have a divorce. I had 4 fathers. I was going to stay no matter what. Duty, all those things. That was things that were going for me, right? And then I remember going to my friend Peter Guber, and I was like, I don't know. I can't imagine doing this. And then I said, I'm going to give her more than half, and then I want to take care of her, but we're the whole part of starting over again, starting over. And he grabbed me by the arm and he goes, "I'm going to teach you what you've taught me for the last 10 years. He goes, "You are not starting over. That language is putting you in this place." He said, "You couldn't possibly start over." He said, "You could take everything from you. No one can take the man you've become, the knowledge you have, the skill you have, the relationships you have, all those things. But starting over was my trance for being in pain. And when I stopped doing that, it's like, no, I'm starting fresh." I know that sounds simplistic, but linguistics change how the brain functions. And so part of yours is some simple linguistics, but the other part is state. Because anabolic, Alex, I got to understand, look, he shows up, all we got to do. So all you got to do is saying, "It's time for anabolic Alex here," and then a moonshot that's going to wake you up and then get emotionally associated. Like if I just provided all this, when I first fed people, I would go there in a t-shirt and jeans, not so they acknowledged me, but so I could see and feel the impact, as opposed to I wrote a check or I did some good work or they did it. The more connected you are. And that once you get in the habit of that, like people say to me all the time, doesn't it get old? People come to you 10, 15 times a day and tell you, "You changed my life." No, it's one of the things I enjoy most besides my family. But it's because I've trained myself never to take it for granted. Right? Is that helpful at all?
Yes.
Okay.
From the
Stay in anabolic, Alex, when you ask me. Do your best to ask me a question about anabolic, because you go back to your brain. And so I'm happy you got a very smart brain. We can use him too. But let's try with anabolic, Alex, as you ask.
So in order to create the emotional connection, because that is like the thing that I probably have struggled the most from, but I think it's made me disproportionately successful from a business perspective because I can make good calls, right?
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I wrote $1 million check and then multiple $1 million checks to charities, and I was just like, okay, I feel a couple $1 million poor. That's about it.
Because you're not emotionally associated anyway.
Zero. But I did the tours of the school, and I was like, I'm glad that this
you haven't
helped.
found the thing. Just contribution for contribution is not what I'm talking about.
And this is where I wanted to get. So my last little word of the ones, we covered most of them, was opportunity.
Yes.
And so I think the question that I have is, you have unlimited opportunities.
Yeah.
More opportunities than you can sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
How do you go through opportunity selection and balancing your kind of achievement brain outcomes and your philanthropic impact feeding families outcomes?
I look at opportunities first, a business perspective.